What's going on, beautiful people of YouTube? It's Renebean. So Nintendo NES cartridges, the things that we love, we play, we collect, we sell, have been going down quite drastically in price here lately. What does that mean for someone who collects games, someone that sells them? Is the video game crash coming? Sit back and relax. Let's talk about it. Alright guys, so before we start the video, I do want to announce that I have officially made a Discord server. A lot of people requested it, finally sat down and done it. I got hands-on with it and I actually like it. It's a chance for everybody to come together, talk, chat about things that we love. So obviously it's going to be retro gaming related, selling things, flipping things, that sort of thing. So I'll leave a link to that in the description as well as a pinned comment down below. So come by and check that out. So everybody wants to know, is the bubble finally bursting? Is the video game market crashing? And the short answer to that is not really. It's shifting. I've seen some videos that kind of shed light on it, but at the same time they're really hesitant on the fact that there is going to be price drops in certain categories. There's going to be changes that they may not necessarily like. But how does that affect someone who buys and sells games or collects them? Now I already know I'm going to have people out there that says all these people that sell games are hurting the hobby, they're damaging it. Those people are somewhat ignorant in my opinion, because if you think about it, would we have things like the SNES Mini, the NES Mini, all these clone consoles, if there wasn't light being shed on retro collecting, if so many people weren't interested in selling and buying? I think that we contributed quite a bit to this hobby, and that can't go unmentioned. So as I was saying, NES games are dropping drastically in price. That could be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. It's great for people who only want to collect, they don't want to sell, they want to get things as cheap as possible, which is obviously a great thing. It's bad for people like us who sell them to recoup our costs, build our collection, or whatever it may be. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it's bad because we can't get these games for dirt cheap and sell them for good profits. I'm saying it's bad because you might kind of get yourself bamboozled while you're out at a yard sale or a garage sale, and you may see a copy of DuckTales, for example. We got one right here, and you know, you used to sell this game for $20, $24 all day long. The buyer wants $10, you can still make a profit on that. Well, not necessarily anymore. This game used to be about $20, $24. It used to be a very easy, quick sell at that price. Now, if you look this game up, I think this game is averaging 12 to 13 bucks at eBay right there. That's a pretty big drop for something as awesome as this. This is a great game, by the way. But this used to be a very quick ticket sale. If you find this at a yard sale, I would always snatch this up. You know, I'd pay $5 or so, and it would always go. It was a very quick item to sell. I've noticed that with a lot of NES games, and it's not going to be your NES games, your crazy heavy hitters, you know, your $1,200 little Samsons that people are just hoping for that sale, even though there's like 15 listed at that same price. It's going to be your common games. Those common ones are the ones that are dropping the most in price. Contra, another example of a game that's dropped in price. I used to sell this game for $40 easily. Now this is probably at the start of the year. Now I would be lucky to get 25, 30 bucks for this. It's not drastic, but it is dropping, so keep that in mind. You gotta understand this stuff when you're out at yard sales or garage sales. When people want, you know, more than the $2 or $3 that you expect for a game, you gotta kind of know what to put down for what you can make out of it, or what you're trying to recoup, or what you're willing to pay for your collection. And not all games are safe in the NES library. I will say a lot of them have dropped in price. I want to say almost every single one of them has dropped in price to some extent. Here's another prime example. It's not a common game, but it's one that used to sell for quite a bit. This is the Miracle Piano. This is the cartridge that you would use with the NES and the actual Miracle Piano itself. Teach you how to play piano. This used to be a $40 to $50 cart, believe it or not. Now, I want to say you can get this for like 10 or 13 bucks. It's not expensive at all. It's not what it used to be, but if I was at a yard sale or garage sale, I would know, you know, not to pay more than $2 or $3 for this, just for what I'm going to get out of it. So is this the end for NES collecting? Absolutely not. If anything, it's the beginning. It's giving a lot of people out there who don't sell the chance to get all the games that they didn't have before, that they wanted to get for a better price than they could before. So what this means is you need to drastically change your views on what you think games are actually worth when it comes to the NES library. Get the video game price charting, the games that you just know that you'll always pick up, that you can always sell, look them up. You may be surprised. Check out eBay sold listings, and just re-familiarize yourself with the market. As a lot of people know, I'm a big advocate of picking up, smaller end games to recoup the cost and adding games to your collection. Well, now it's not going to be so easy with the NES library. So make sure before you spend $5 on a game that you can get that $5 back and then some on top of it. So what does that mean for NES games themselves? Are they going to go to a point where they're absolutely worthless? No, there's always going to be a demand for these games. There's always going to be someone who wants them. They just may not carry the demand that they used to, but there will always be somewhat demand. And like I said, those heavy hitter games, they'll always be expensive, but they're not going to be as expensive as they used to be. So what caused all this? What is causing these games to drop so drastically in price? Well, there's a couple variables. The main two I want to talk about. Number one is with the uprising of game collecting and people getting interested in retro gaming, you're getting people who don't want to put that money in, and those people just simply want to emulate, or they want to get Raspberry Pis, or something similar. They want to get a little clone system. It doesn't matter. They want to do it on the cheap, and by all means, you're more than welcome to. Us collectors, we have a different mentality. We like playing on physical hardware. I feel it plays a lot better, performs a lot better. A lot of emulation has a lot of poor performance. So with that said, it's easy for people to get an NES Classic, spend $60, mod it, and put all the games they want on it, versus spending $20, $30 just for a single game. I can understand that mentality, but at the same time, I hope those people can understand ours. And secondly, the biggest one, in my opinion, a lot of people, fail to mention this, is people are just moving on from that generation that wants those NES cartridges, or those people that are specifically after them have moved on to other things. They may be getting out of the hobby. They may be done with what their goals are achieved in that hobby. Same thing happened with Atari. Atari used to fetch a fair amount. Now Atari's almost worthless, except for, the crazy high-end games. That's just how it works with this sort of thing. So as that generation that wants Atari moved on, you have the generation that really wants NES cartridges. That was there. That's when the peak was really high. This being 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe these people, like I said, got out of the hobby, they moved on, and now we're moving on down the line to a different generation. I'm not saying you can't be 13 years old and collect NES games. I get people that tell me that all the time. I think that is awesome. But the majority of the people who really collect NES games or go after them are people that are closely related to that generation where they came from. And I just feel that those people are moving on, or they kind of got burnt out. They don't want to spend the money, and they are wanting to go cheaper routes, which is completely understandable. So what's going to be next? What's going down in price? What's going to crash, as people like to say it? Honestly, it would just make the most sense if we moved on the generation above that, and that's going to be Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1. Now, while those games have not really dropped in price drastically enough to really make a video about it, they have also dropped in price. People are really into collecting N64, GameCube, PlayStation 2. That era of gaming, a lot of people are really big into. It makes the most sense. That's where that generation comes into play as we move on through this game collecting life. So I'm not making this video to scare people to say go out and sell your games because they're worthless now. But, it depends. Did you get in this hobby to make some money? Did you like to keep a nice little nest egg of games on your shelf? You may want to go back through them and make sure you're not losing money versus what you're paying, if that's really what you're into. Or if you're collecting, this is going to be a great time for you to go out and get some games that you never got before because they were too expensive. You can even wait 3 or 4 months. Hell, who knows how long you need to wait. And games are going to be pretty cheap. It's not crashing. It's just changing. It's shifting over from the NES games, and we're moving on to the higher generation games that are going to be bigger ticket items. So when you're at a yard sale or a garage sale, just be very careful when you're buying something. I never, advocate looking up games while you're at a yard sale, but make sure you look something up before you buy it. Whether you go to your car, step away from the person, just to make sure that game you used to sell for $12, $13 isn't worth $6 now. So before you spend $3 or $4 on there, if that makes sense. So I just made this video just kind of talk about that. A lot of people really expect this crash. They really want it to happen, but it's not happening. It's just a shift. It's changing. We're moving on, and it's bad and good. It's sad to see, the NES games not getting the love that they used to. But at the same time, like I said, it's great for collectors. who want to get those games they never could before. It's kind of bad for us resellers because it's you know, it's just harder for us to make a buck on these things. But at the same time, it's just how it happens. Alright guys, so that's enough of me rambling and talking. I want to know what you guys got to think. Do you think this bubble's finally gonna burst? Do you think the video game market is finally crashing? I chuckle at that because it's really not. It's just changing, in my opinion, but you may have something else to say about that. I'd like to hear it. Did you notice a trend yourself? Let me know in the comments down below. But as always, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Make sure you check out that Discord server if you like to talk about stuff like this, if you like talking retro gaming, if you like talking about flipping and selling and showing off your awesome finds that you get. Come join up. That link will be in the description and a pinned comment. But as always, guys, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.